here's what happened. You're chasing, it feels like, your business right now. That's happening. And so there's a lot of these shiny objects online of try this one strategy and then all your problems are going to be fixed. It's the feeling, is the energy that you get, or like this one thing is going to change everything. And it's possible for certain things to have that impact when you look back, but it's also because of a series of actions that you've taken to move forward. And so if you're feeling like you're in reaction mode right now for your business, where you wake up and you're like reacting to what am I going to do right now? I don't know how to move forward. I'm feeling stuck. I feel like I'm chasing this business, but I don't know how to then play on offense and ultimately be like the captain of your ship, and the direction that you're headed, or you're in the car and you got it in Google Maps of where you're going, and you at least know the direction. You're not sure what to expect, but you at least know that direction. If you want to get into that part of it, it comes back to not just the strategy, but what is the beliefs that are driving you? And are they supportive, or are they causing you to feel like you're staying stuck or chasing the business? This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. If you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe and follow the show for the latest episodes. And it helps to make this show even better. So I really appreciate that. Today, I want to get into this feeling that can come up that you're chasing the business and why that is. And it does come back, again, I don't know your specific situation. I don't know what you got going on, but my guess is it could be because of the beliefs, and it's figuring out in this space here to go through that and determine if that is what's coming up for you. Because I go back to this quote from John Butcher, the founder of Lifebook. There is no one right way, but there is a right way for you. And so it's figuring out your right way to be able to move forward, to not feel like you're stuck or chasing the business, but you feel like you're playing on offense. But it's figuring out what is that reason that's coming up for you, for why you feel the chasing. So when I think of beliefs, I go back to that broken swing model, where you may have seen, if you're someone right now, if you're a business owner trying different strategies, people telling you, hey, this is going to change everything. You should really try this. And they're shooting all over you. And what's been happening is you've been noticing you're not staying consistent with these. Or if you have team members, you're not consistent with sharing with them what to do so that they could go and run with it. And it just feels like a spaghetti mess right now. That's coming up. So if you're in that situation, I want you to know that I relate to that feeling, because I think back to when I hit my burnout after the social media conference, SmackCon, where I had 500 people come in for this event. And then I had also team members that were helping out, one full-time, another one part-time, and then a bunch of volunteers helping out. And I remembered there was a moment leading up to that event where I was feeling really tired and exhausted. I felt like I was chasing this business, just like trying to stay above water. And I remember my friend Betsy, she was managing, she was managing a few different people, and she was working in the hotel space for hospitality. And I remember asking her, like, hey, I feel like I don't know what to do with this team member that I have, of like how to make sure that she has work that she's doing. She's asking me what can she do. And I always thought, like, okay, I should delegate out. That should be what I would do, because that's what people were telling me I should do to save a lot of time and energy. But then you forget what it takes to actually delegate out. You got to know at least the vision or the direction that someone can go and run with, because they can't read your mind. They can't understand what's going on if you don't at least give them some sort of direction of where to go, of what you're wanting. It doesn't have to be a lot, but at least something to help them out. And so what happened was then I was wasting a lot of money because I'm paying this person without them having a clear direction, at least what to work on. And then in the same time, it was wasting her time and her energy, as well as my energy of like, what do I do here? I'm having these tornado thoughts of I don't feel like I am able to communicate what she can work on. All these different scenarios were coming up. And I remember Betsy just being like, hey, just create the list. Like, what is it that you need help with? Share that with her. And I remembered her, like, when she said that, I had this moment of like, oh, okay, it can be like that, as simple as that. And so I created a list. I then gave this list to the team member. She was able to do an amazing job of getting things done and moving forward. But the issue was there was already a lot of money that was wasted, a lot of time on my end, a lot of energy that was wasted. And so what ended up happening was that was part of what caused me to also hit burnout. There's a few different things I've shared before, but it was this feeling of chasing in the business that caused me to hit burnout. And I don't want you to be in a similar situation where you get so exhausted and then, either you don't have enough money to continue that business, and so you have to close down the business, or you gotta let go of the business because your energy isn't there. You're feeling exhausted with these tornado thoughts that are happening. Also, you're wasting a lot of money at the same time. And so you get to this point where it's like you throw your hands up and you're like, all right, I'm done. And how I define burnout in the context of business is having to close down the business or let go of the business because you don't have the capacity within your body to either handle the growth that could be happening right now or the challenges that are happening. Both of them make you feel stressed. And it's like that you imagine for a pressure balloon in the body. It's like you're filling up with stress with all these different pressure balloons. And then it gets to a point where that chronic stress leads to the chronic inflammation. And then from there, the chronic exhaustion. And that's like the first generic red flag of hitting burnout. And then it creates a domino effect of you resenting the business. And that also could be a place where you're at right now, is you feel some resentment towards like, why the hell are you doing this? Is this worthwhile? Why do you keep showing up each and every day? And it's in these moments where I got to remind you it's temporary for the phase you're in, because where you start isn't where you end if you move forward. And so what happened for me through wasting that energy, the energy, time, the money, it continued to stack up to the point where I hit my burnout. And for you, if you're right now feeling that chase, I mean, this is a red flag for you to come up of like, okay, something's got to change here. And that's where it's figuring out what is that specific situation for you. Is it the beliefs? Is it the strategy? Well, if you've been trying different strategies and you still feel like you're not being consistent with strategies, or you're not noticing any improvement at all, or you feel like you're even going backwards, well, now it could be giving you the space to focus on what is the beliefs that are driving you. What is that that's coming up? So what I want you to be able to do here together is like, let's just take a deep breath in. I'm going to ask you a question and then give yourself some space to reflect on this. So deep inhale through the nose and then out through the mouth. Get settled in. And it's asking yourself, why do you feel you're chasing in the business? Is it the beliefs? Do you have these thoughts that can come up of, man, my brand isn't good enough yet? Or everyone else seems like they have it all together and I'm just feeling stuck right now? Or there's like no way I can talk to this person, even though I feel like they could help me out, or I could help them with services I'm providing through my business. But I feel insecure. Like I don't feel like I'm good enough to be able to step up. Is that coming up for you? Or it could be something completely different for belief. But in those moments where you feel like you're chasing, what is the belief that's driving you? Because if you have a belief that isn't supportive, let me just use the example of I can't go and speak in front of a group of people because I get so nervous. And there was a point, I think back to my first networking event after college, when I was getting started as a DJ over a decade ago. It's wild to think about. I remembered not being able to go into the room for the networking event because I was so scared to just be seen, be me, myself at the time, what I thought that was. So if I had taken that belief of like, okay, I'm just not supposed to be doing this, well, how the hell am I supposed to build a business then? If I can't talk to people and share with them what I got going on. And so it's in that moment of realizing that belief isn't going to support me. But the belief that it will support me is, oh, I can improve my skills in communication. It is possible for me to get better at this, talking to people. Because if that belief is not supportive, it is like a broken swing at the playground. You're going to feel a little bit of momentum with some strategies you're going to implement. You're going to try out. You're like, oh, this is nice. Like, this is working out. You're getting the rush of that dopamine of excitement of like, okay, this is possible. And then you get to this point where naturally your nervous system wants to bring you back into balance. And so you swing backwards. You miss a day for certain tasks you had to get done in the business. And then the tornado thoughts start happening of like, oh, it told you so. Like, you're not meant to be doing this. You're not meant to be playing at this level if you're trying to grow. You're not meant to be talking to these people. And then that starts to make you feel like you're stuck. Or it's like the chasing, like just trying to continue to push and push and push. But then you feel exhausted because always you're going to come backwards. Naturally, with the nervous system, it's wanting to bring you back into balance. And so that's where that broken swing, it's that feeling of like you're not stable in this. You're moving forward, moving backwards. And then it gets to a point where you can head towards a one-way ticket to hidden burnout. And so this part is simple, which is identifying the current belief. If it's not supportive, what is a new empowering belief you can replace it with? To replace it in the driver's seat. So in my case, with the networking event, it was to say, I can get better at communication. Like, I can do this. It's possible. Didn't fully believe it at the time. Didn't know where it would lead me. I was like, all right, it's possible. And then it took it years of figuring out what are the habits that are going to support that empowering belief. And that's important for you to identify now. What are the one or two habits that you can work on? Doesn't mean they're strategies, but just habits that you can work on that help your nervous system to recognize that this is a new empowering belief that you can become familiar with, that can be the driver in this specific area. And so for me with communication, it's a simple habit of, okay, I'm going to look at videos online on YouTube. So happy that there's a platform like YouTube where I can look at videos and understand those that are the best in the game in communication in front of people on stage, understanding how they're doing it, observing them, learning. And then another one could be, okay, I'm going to now post videos on social media. I remember doing the first few times of doing those videos, like it felt so weird. I'm like, trying to hear myself back with my voice, and I'm like, I don't like my voice, and having to remind myself of the empowering belief of I can get better at this, and then continuing to show up and put the reps in for these habits. But the belief, it was what helped me to move forward. It's similar when it came to after hitting my burnout. It's the belief of, okay, I can continue to move forward and figure out another way. Figure out a new business idea to work on. Like, it's possible. Because I could have had the belief of like, okay, I'm a failure now. It didn't work out, even though externally it was a success for an event. Internally, it was one of the biggest battles of my life. And so that's where I could have said, all right, I'm done. I'm not going to try this out anymore. And there were a lot of moments of doubt that crept in. And so that's something to remind you is that you will have those moments of doubt. It's not perfect. There was a moment where I remember this. I was out in LA. I had gone there. I was trying to figure out other opportunities for something to support myself as I figure out my next move for business idea. I remember couch surfing out there with people that I had known from college and from high school. And there was this restaurant there that I really liked going to. And so I asked them if they had a job. And at the time they weren't hiring. What I know of myself is that if they had that job, I wouldn't have been surprised if I just worked there and stayed there. And for me, it wasn't what I wanted to do. it's great that there are people that want to do that. I remember when I was bartending back in college or after college and helping out with a oh man, what are they called? It's like a catering company for weddings. But that's not what I wanted to do moving forward. And similarly, I had that same feeling with this. I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be something temporary, but then, oh, I'm going to get comfortable. And I'm going to realize how painful it is to like get back out there and show up again because of the pain I went through with the SmackCon event. And so, like, I'm going to just be okay with comfortable. But then it's like that gnawing feeling that stays with you. Like, man, I could be doing something else. I know I'm capable of more. It's that feeling that comes up of like, I'm capable of more. And you could be feeling that right now, is that feeling like I am capable of more. And so when it comes back to that belief and then the habits, it is remembering the 3 phases of habit formation process for the body, which is the awkward phase, the angry phase, and then the autopilot phase. At the beginning, it's going to be awkward for these habits. You're going to get off track. It's in those moments to give yourself grace. Recognize that this is temporary. Where you start isn't where you end, as long as you keep moving forward. And then whenever you do something that is putting in the rep for a habit that is supportive for this empowering belief, celebrate the rep. It's so funny how people are so weird. And I know this feeling. It's like it feels weird to celebrate for yourself, right? It's like, okay, are people going to judge you now? Are people going to be like, you shouldn't do that? Shit all over you. All these thoughts that come up. But when you celebrate, you remind the body that you want more of this. And it can be a way for the body to release dopamine, the internal reward that reinforces this is what you want. But then from the awkward moves into the angry phase. And that's where you hit that imaginary wall. I mean, and that's this feeling of chasing in the business is you hit it. And then now you're trying to find a way to avoid that resistance rather than just facing it, realizing that this is natural and that it's temporary. But what happens when you hit that wall, it's uncertainty that you get flooded with. And that's similar with chasing in your business. I think about the fears that can come up because of that, going back to the beliefs. And it's like the big bad wolf. It's like you're trying to hide, one of the 3 little pigs trying to hide from the big bad wolf. But what's important to recognize is if you face the fears, if you face that resistance, it's like ripping a Band-Aid. It's going to be intense for what you feel in the body. But then over time, if you continue to move forward in it, it's not going to get as intense. It's going to be this feeling of releasing from the body. And then as you move through that phase of the angry phase, you get into the autopilot phase. And the best habit I can share with that is like brushing your teeth, where it becomes, there's not a lot of conscious effort required to show up and put the rep in. But it's remembering that this phase is also temporary with habits that you're just starting off with. If you're just starting with a habit of like, oh, I'm going to be consistent with this in 90 days, it's going to be on the autopilot phase. You got to remember the amount of years that you didn't do that habit, or you did a habit that was opposite of that. So it does take time, and it's giving yourself grace in that process. But when you shift the beliefs, then you have this grounding anchor to hold on to. During the really tough times where your mind can be pinballing all over the place, saying you don't think you're doing this right, you don't feel like you're in the right direction, you don't feel like you're moving forward. And so that is where you can be chasing these new strategies online, or what people are shooting all over you to do. And they may not even be someone that is where you want to go for the business and how you want your lifestyle. So they may not have even been where you're trying to go, but you're like, all right, I guess I'll try it. They seem confident in what they're saying. So it helps you to filter all this stuff of figuring out your right way and what's going to resonate for you, what you can be consistent with moving forward, so that you feel like you're playing on offense, because it's your life. This is the business that you're creating for yourself. And so there are multiple ways to get to that end goal. And it doesn't have to be an excuse for when you get on these off days, but it's just a signal from your body that your body's trying to communicate to you of what to adapt for your belief system level or the habit level in your day. But it's important for you to take that space to listen to it. And so, as a reminder, what is a belief that's driving you when you feel like you're chasing the business? Is a belief empowering? Is it supportive? If not, figure out what's a new empowering belief you can replace it with. Then what are the 1 or 2 habits that you can be putting in the reps for that's going to support the new empowering belief so that it becomes familiar for your nervous system? And then it's remembering the 3 phases of the habit formation process and reminding yourself that this is not an overnight process. It takes time. So remembering it is natural for what you're feeling, and then it's temporary. And if you haven't heard it yet today, I believe in you. You have the capabilities within you to master one of the most important skills, I believe, for entrepreneurs, which is the skill of communication with your body. You got this.